Most cities are just trying to keep from being overwhelmed by the spread of the virus, but your new plan is tackling everything from jobs to poverty to tourism. Help me understand how this is going to work.
Well, look, we have to keep our diligence around COVID-19, but we also have to start thinking about how we rebuild our economy and how we do it in a way that recognizes the adverse impact that COVID-19 has had on different communities across our city. We had a group of almost 200 people working for about 10 weeks on a very thoughtful plan that isn't just focused on the economy. It's focused on what do we need to do as a city, as in a region, to deal people in to progress and success from an economic standpoint, from a city that understands that there's trauma and healing that needs to happen, that thinks about the arts and culture. It's a very thoughtful roadmap. It tells us what we need to do to move forward to advance our economy in a way that deals everybody in.
Your plan has a whole section about capturing opportunities provided by COVID. What does that even mean?
Well, look, I think that there are opportunities that are out there. For example, you look at what's going on in Hollywood. There's going to be limited production space, limited filming space. So we've said, look, we've got all kinds of opportunities here in Chicago. We've got sound stages. We've got things that can be converted into sound stages. So we're going to go and make that pitch to Hollywood producers and booking agents. We also think that we need to build on our strengths. Our strengths as a region are life sciences, manufacturing, hospitality, and other areas where Chicago is unique. And the interesting thing is, when I talk to CEOs now, the first question they ask me is, what are your numbers? And they're not asking about taxes or unemployment. They're asking about our COVID-19 numbers, our ICU beds, our percent positivity. What are we doing in testing? We have a good story to tell here in Chicago because we've been careful and data-driven and prudent. And that's going to distinguish us from other parts of the country as we start to look towards economic recovery.
Well, you, like almost every other city in the country, are suffering economically during shutdown. I mean, think about all the cancellations, the lack of sales tax you have coming into the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. How can you launch an ambitious plan like this when you have no money?
Well, first of all, we do have resources. We have resources that we can use at the city level. We have a number of people across the city, the region, and the country that are saying, how can we help Chicago? This has to be public-private partnerships. We can't do it as a city alone without the help of our business community, without the help of our philanthropic community. But candidly, we can't afford not to. Like other places across the country, our region in particular sectors have been devastated by the shutdown. We have high unemployment rate. We need to use government in this time as a stimulus. And we need to partner with the business and philanthropic communities and individuals that think about how we can make targeted strategic investments to really uplift the quality of life of people in our region. If we don't do that, people are going to leave. People are going to leave. They're not going to come. And so we've got to continue to make sure that we are rebuilding our economy in a thoughtful, inclusive way that brings people into the economy, expands our tax base, and expands the opportunity for people to be able to live and enjoy this great city. This is an economic imperative for us.
I have to ask you about crime in your...
Sure.
Without a doubt. I do want to ask you about crime in your city. There's a headline in the Chicago Sun-Times last week that says Chicago police activity slowed amid June's steep rise in murders. It says the police union blames morale. The head of the union also blamed you personally, saying police there don't think they have your support.
Well, we're in the midst of fighting the FOP and John Cannizzaro in a contract negotiations. So that's the context in which he makes his comments. I'm going to expect more untethered, unrealistic, and untrue statements from him as we fight this fight, because he knows that we're going to bring true accountability to that contract for the very first time. But look, we're going through a challenging time. There's no doubt about it. We are suffering, I think, the same thing that you're seeing across a lot of big cities, where the virus, I think, has put our thoughts of local policing in a very different place. We're slowly coming out of it. We've seen the amount of infections amongst our first responders and our police officers going down. But we need a community-based effort, all hands on deck strategy. We have that, but we need to strengthen our community partners so they can also play their role in bringing the violence down. But this isn't something that can be solved by a one mayor, one police department, one police superintendent. This has to be a community-focused strategy. And again, going back to where we started, making strategic investments in neighborhoods. Violence is crimes of disinvestment. Violence is crimes of poverty. Violence is crimes of people feeling like they have no hope. When we see young men feeling like their only destiny is to be on a corner on somebody's drug spot, we've got to change that around and let them know that their future actually can and should be in careers and college. But we've got to make those kinds of investments to make that real. That's why when you asked me before, how do you pay for this? We can't afford not to. We've got to find the resources, and we have them to uplift neighborhoods.
Absolutely, Mayor. But these investments take time. It's like planting seeds that have to grow. And we got to talk about what's happening in this moment. The Chicago Sun-Times also quotes the police department as saying murders were up 83% in the first 28 days of June compared to last year. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, that number is not correct. We are up on murders, and nobody's happy about that. But I think part of it is we have got to make sure that we do a better job of taking guns out of the hands of criminals. You know, you've heard me say this before. We have to have a federal policy on background checks and making sure that dangerous people are not able to go across the border to states like Indiana and get military-grade weapons in quantities and then bring them back to the streets and shoot people up. That's what's happening. There's way too many illegal guns on our streets, and we can't fight that fight alone. We've got to have a federal strategy on this. We're going to continue to do what we can do. We're going to continue to make sure that we are flooding these dangerous hotspots with resources to make sure that we keep our community safe. But we're fighting a losing battle if we don't have federal partnership on restricting access to guns in the hands of dangerous criminals. We've got to have partnership on that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.